Movies with Ron.
Hell yeah, motherfucker.
Movies with Ron.
It was like thriller noir.
Yeah. The number 23 with Jim Carrey. He like went all buff
Yeah.
for that movie, but he was still all super skinny and like not very buff.
He still looked cool, man. Like, yeah, that's wwhy they gave him all those tattoos.
Yeah. What ruined it was the voice he did. He did a fake voice for the character. Fingerling. And it's fucking dumb.
Fingerling.
Yeah. Everyone said the voice ruined the movie. He was playing a saxophone and shit.
I think it was everybody else who ruined that movie.
But it did have the dude from...
The dude.
He played the middle-aged striker. He was also in 30 Days a Night. Does anybody know his name?
No. But he was from American Horror Story.
He's in that?
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
I love that guy.
Dude, yeah, me too.
Hold on. Danny Houston. He's
Yep.
the best.
Yeah.
Danny, we want
he's
you on
fucking
the
awesome.
show, man.
He is awesome.
That would be great.
Rick, you ever see American Horror Story?
Yeah. A few of the seasons. I haven't seen Freak Show or The Witch one.
Yeah, the Witch one
Asylum
is where he started. So, if you haven't seen the Witch one or the Freak Show, yeah, you haven't seen him yet.
I've seen Hotel.
I have not seen the Hotel one.
Oh, yeah. I liked it. It was pretty good.
Yeah. It just went on Netflix.
I don't think I finished it.
I just haven't watched it yet.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Movies with Ron.
Hey.
Yo.
Every week, Ron goes to the movies, and he recaps it for us from beginning to end because I find it hard to afford going to the theater, and it's a lot easier than torrenting the movies. So, across from me is my younger brother, Rick.
Hello?
Next to him is my older brother, Ron.
Hey, guys.
And I'm Chris.
Hey, Chris.
All right, can I do a what grinds my gears? You know what grinds my gears?
Of course.
You've pointed this out. You've pointed this out in other episodes, but not in some. And I'm like, why does he remember this? And I was like, because there's something wrong with it, and he has to point it out, even if he's doing it subconsciously.
Whoa, here we go.
And
Stuff's coming out.
Whenever this happens to a movie, you always point it out, and it's all of the endless logos in front of a movie.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Don't we fucking hate that? I fucking hate that shit. All right? My example is Kingsman. Kingsman has like 10 logos in front of it.
Oh, really?
And then during the opening credits, and this always happens, they show you the logos, then in the opening credits...
They say them again.
They say the fucking names in the logos.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I know.
All right? Someone has to put their foot down. You can do something. Maybe it can be the filmmaker, like, either show just a screenshot of like 3 seconds of a logo, or like if you need to animate the goddamn logos, which logos shouldn't be fucking animated.
I know.
Put like
they always all are, though.
Put like 4 on the screen at the same time, like in each corner.
Yeah.
Like do that shit. I found an article because I wanted to like read someone else who hated it. All right. And I found this article by this guy, and he's talking about it, and he hates it. And then he points out, this practice reminds me of a very illuminating conversation I had some time back with my friend Leela Walrick, whose company, Walrick, creates logos, brands, messaging platforms, and marketing kits. The fucking dude's article just becomes an advertisement for this company that makes logos.
No shit.
Yeah, in his article about criticizing logos. So fuck that shit. Whoever... All right. That's what grinds my gears.
There's something interesting about the opening credits for movies that I just noticed. Probably like 4 months ago or something. The director is always at the end of the opening credits. So for me, when I'm watching a movie, anytime it says all the names, all the shit going on,
Yeah.
and pops up directed by, and I'm like, oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And it's go time.
It's because he's the one making them all. He wants you to see his name last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget me.
It's like, I made this. What was the production company that did that at the end of television shows? I made this.
What?
You know?
I know what you're talking about, but at risk of...
Oh, it's like one of those things like stupid monkey.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But let's not say who it is, so we don't commit the same crime that article did.
Okay. All right. A couple things in the news, movie news. The Blade...
In the news.
Fuck yeah. The Blade Runner sequel is called Blade Runner 2049. What do we think?
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what you would call the sequel, but hey, it's like 30
I'd be
years
okay with
later.
Blade Runner 2, dude.
The original was 2019, so it's like 30 years later, so you know why he's so fucking old in this movie.
I guess, yeah.
And Ryan Gosling's in it. So it reminds me of like...
So he's like passing the torch. Is
it's gonna
Harrison
be
Ford
just
in
like,
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's going to be just like the fucking Indiana Jones, except instead of Shia LaBeouf, it's Ryan Gosling.
All right, well, I'm thankful for that at least.
You don't like Shia?
No.
Okay. All right.
Shia LaBeouf.
Next in the news, you guys remember that game show on Nickelodeon called Legends of the Hidden Temple?
No.
It would be like two teams. There would be the red and the blue team, and they would compete. And then the winner would face the challenge of the Hidden Temple. And it was kind of like that America's Best Ninja kind of thing.
Yes.
You basically...
Is that where they had to go? The end thing was called the Aggro Crag?
No. That was...
Aggro Crag.
That was something different.
Okay.
You're in the right network, though.
All right.
But Legends of the Hidden Temple, after the team wins, the team goes through like a side scroller like thing of physical challenges, kind of like Indiana Jones. You're going through a temple. It's like Temple Run, but at the end there's like a face with red eyes, and he talks to everybody, and his name is like Omek or some shit. They made a fucking movie of that game show,
Really?
and it like looks pretty fucking cool.
No shit.
It's like a Nickelodeon movie, Legends of the Hidden Temple. All right, yeah.
All right.
And that's the news. Okay, closing song.
This has been the news.
Okay. I had an idea. Why don't they do miniature Oscars? You ever seen a movie and like one scene is fucking great?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? You could give like the director a mini Oscar to be like, keep doing this and you'll get a big one. Right?
Junior Oscar. And this year's Oscar Junior goes to Chris. Keep doing this, and you get a big one.
I thought, isn't it called something else?
What?
Because there's the Oscars and then there's something else.
There's a bunch of other awards.
I know the music shit. Is it like Emmys?
Grammys. Emmys is TV.
No.
The miniature Oscars would be like, the minis.
The minis.
And everyone would go up to the podium with this like little gold man, and he'd be like, "I promise to do better. This is very supportive."
I just want to thank everybody for this little guy.
You know how many minis I have? Not one big one.
All right, I was thinking about this thing that I see in movies. This feeling that certain movies give me, and it's that free for all feeling, where you've got the complete freedom to do whatever you want. All right.
I can do what I want.
And it gives you this calm. Even if the movie is like scary, there's this ultimate calm. It's like in Phantasm 2 when they're going through the hardware store.
Oh, yeah.
And they're getting everything.
Yeah.
And like they don't have to pay for it. And you're like, man, this is a movie, man. I feel so good. Like another example is like Career Opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Oh, yeah.
He's a
Damn, man.
He's a
I love
janitor
that movie.
at Target. And he's just, everything is at his disposal. He's the overnight janitor. So he's there and he's like eating everything and he's using everything and he's just like having the time of his life. And so are you watching it.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah. The same thing with Dawn of the Dead. Like having a whole shopping mall at your disposal.
The mall frolicking.
Yeah. Fucking great. I love that feeling that those kinds of sequences give me. Which leads me to my recommendation, which has something like that.
Okay.
It isn't the only reason why I love it. But it's partly, and it's a little slice of 80s nostalgia, 1987's Mannequin.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Seriously, okay, little plot synopsis. You guys got to see this. I'm not going to spoil it for you, all right? Andrew McCarthy, you guys listening would probably see a lot of his movies from the 80s, a couple John Hughes movies. He's a fucking mannequin builder. Right? He works in a mannequin warehouse, and he falls in love with a certain mannequin.
That he built.
Right. And it just so happens that she is inhabited by
The spirit of an Egyptian princess.
Yeah, who was cursed into the mannequin. Right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So he builds her, then he sees her, like, in a storefront. And, what, does he see her alive?
No. He got fired from that job.
Right.
He's a struggling artist. So when he made the mannequin, it was like a piece of art. And he got fired from that job, fired from a pizza place, he can't, like, hold a job.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, he was like...
the pizza place.
Clipping hedges, too.
Yeah, he sees the mannequin in a window when his bike won't start. He's in the rain
Yeah.
and all that.
And that's what makes him get the job at the department store.
No. He walks up to the mannequin. It's raining. No one else is around. And he's like, talking to her through the window. She's a fucking mannequin.
Yeah.
And he's like, I made you. You felt so good in my hands. But then the next day, he's walking down the street, and they're hanging a sign for it. And it falls, and it almost kills the owner of the store. And he saves her. She's the little old lady from
Golden Girls.
Golden Girls. Also, Stop Her, My Mom Will Shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Same lady?
Yeah.
And then he saves her. And she's like, is there any way I could repay you?
I need a job.
Yeah, a job would be
Okay.
nice. But I don't want to bring up this movie without a special mention of the one and only. And this performance in this movie was one of the best I have ever seen. Okay? I don't give a shit what all of you guys say about that show, The Blacklist. Okay? James Spader has never been more at his finest than in the movie Mannequin.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, James Spader, people know him as a suave piece of shit in The Office, and they know him as a suave piece of shit with a heart of gold in The Blacklist.
Yeah.
But in Mannequin, he's just a piece of shit,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's amazing.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's got that like slicked back hair. And when the old lady was like, this young man just saved my life. He deserves some sort of reward. He fucking goes like, yeah. Well, I believe $5 should do it.
BJ.
PJ.
Everyone has fun in this movie. Okay, I've got a quote. See, there's a security guard in the movie played by G.W. Bailey. All right, you know him as the enemy lieutenant from Police Academy.
Oh yeah.
Right. He's great, and he's got a dog. He's got a bulldog, Rambo. He's like,
Come on.
get him, Rambo.
Yeah.
All right.
Come on, Rambo.
At a point, he has. I can't give that away. Okay.
Jesus Christ,
All right.
Rambo.
Seriously, guys, watch this fucking movie.
Look at what he did to Rambo.
All right. On filming this movie, G.W. Bailey stated, "We didn't think it would ever be released. It was beyond silliness. We'd do outrageous double takes over the lines and say that we had not done this kind of stuff since high school. And the director would say, more, you're going in the right direction with it. Going in the right direction? We didn't believe him. But suddenly the movie is released, and here's this old-fashioned, silly love story. And there's not one dirty word in it, not one naked butt.
Mm-hmm.
The critics trampled the picture. The public loved it."
Oh yeah. That movie is a work of art.
Yeah, he totally captured it there.
Do you bring this up because you saw the DVD on the table? I just bought it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I ordered it on Amazon.
Oh, shit. We gotta watch it then.
Yeah, there you have it.
Holy shit. It turns out this movie is a part of a legacy. It's a remake of a remake. 1948 was a movie, One Touch of Venus, where a dude kisses a statue of Venus and she comes to life, only for him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and then that was remade. There was a TV show in 1968 called Journey to the Unknown, and there was an episode called Eve,
Yeah.
where a guy saw a mannequin come alive in a storefront, and he applied for a job there because of that.
Really?
And then they made Mannequin. So it's like it's this timeline of this cute romantic comedy that's just like it oozes cuteness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone has fun in this movie, all right? Special shout out to Mashak Taylor as Hollywood.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right? Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Was he the original window dresser?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was one of them, yeah.
And he was like failing.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that part is kind of like
It's not that he was failing. Okay, he wasn't being replaced or anything like that. He was the window dresser, and then Andrew McCarthy got the job out of, pity or a reward from the owner, and she asked him where he wanted to go, and that's what he said. So he just kind of joined the team.
yeah, okay.
Okay, but there was nothing really special about Hollywood's window dressings.
Right. But then the window dressings become like these installation works of art.
Yeah.
All right, and everyone loves them. And Hollywood is he's this flamboyant African-American gay guy who's got sunglasses in every scene. In every scene, it's a different pair of these wacky-ass sunglasses.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like a caricature, and you might think it's a stereotype, but, there's a connection between him and Andrew McCarthy that, I don't know, as a kid, I'd never seen that. And it was
Yeah.
How would they get along? Andrew McCarthy's like straight white male, but everyone thinks he's in love with a mannequin, so he's crazy. So it's like a union of outcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's part of the joy of it as well, that I get out of it.
Hollywood is he's easily the most charismatic character in that film.
Yeah, definitely.
Hollywood.
So yeah.
That fucking scene where he like, they're doing the big chase where they got to get over to the store real fucking fast, and he has to drive Andrew McCarthy over there like really fucking fast in his gigantic fucking pink Cadillac. He gets him over to the enemy store, okay? And then Andrew McCarthy runs inside. Hollywood, instead of running in with him, stops and puts a fucking big polka dot car cover over the fucking car. And it takes him so long, they had to speed up the scene.
Yeah, they devote time to him in that movie. He's important.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, go see Mannequin. Speaking of remakes, I need to update you on the Beetlejuice remake.
Is it a remake or a sequel?
Remake's not happening. Johnny Depp, that was just a rumor.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, we need to correct that because it's important. Fuck Johnny Depp.
No.
Everyone says the Beetlejuice sequel is possible, but only if the circumstances are perfect. And if they're not perfect, then no sequel, which I'm okay with.
Okay.
And Michael Keaton said it best. There are certain movies that are like Indian burial grounds. You never ride over them. Bad shit happens if you cross that. You don't touch certain things, they are sacred. And he captures it pretty well there.
Yeah. I agree.
Which leads us into our next game, gentlemen.
I want to play a game.
Fuck yeah. All right, here's the game. In vein of the recent Ghostbusters remake, you must remake a beloved film and recast it and pitch some relevant scenes. But do it all in a way where the world would hate you for it. So, you're pitching a sacrilegiously bad remake of a beloved film.
All right.
What's the name of the game?
Why... Remake Sacrilege, of course.
All right. Remake Sacrilege. We're going to play that after the recap.
All right.
Ron,
Yes?
take it away.
I want to see Deepwater Horizon.
All right.
Yeah.
You like some Mark Wahlberg there?
You know what?
He's a pretty reliable guy.
He is.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. Yeah, it was a good movie. Little depressing. Not going to lie.
All right.
But, man, it was unbelievably well done. I'll give him that. Holy shit.
Cool. Oh, by the way, folks, this is a special hurricane episode. We do have a special guest, Hurricane Matthew. It's not raining at the moment. The hurricane is almost upon us. It might start raining at some point. I apologize in advance.
Also, we're sorry if we die. A lot of other people in this area are evacuating, but we, faithful to our audience as ever, have selflessly decided to stay behind and record this for you.
Yeah, this is definitely not a mistake
Oh yeah,
on our part.
yeah, it can't be. All right, oil spill, the movie. This is what happened before the oil spill, though. This is the story. And you can tell this is why this movie was even made. This is what caused the oil spill. And this is an unbelievably dramatic event that happened. You know, everybody's like, oil, oh, BP, they dumped so much oil into the fucking ocean, blah, blah, blah. Like, so many fucking people lost their lives on that rig. It is unbelievable.
Yeah?
Yeah. And now, this recap, this might actually, I don't know for sure, but might actually move pretty quick. Because, you know, it starts off walking, of course, you know, like any good disaster film does. But when the action starts, guys, it is fucking non-stop. The action absolutely does not stop until the fucking end of the movie.
Really?
Yeah. I was almost exhausted afterwards.
All right, cool.
Exhausted and depressed. It's a winning combination. Okay, so, are we ready?
Yep.
Deepwater Horizon on Movies with Ron. So we open up with some logos. Not too many, though. Okay, and while the logos are being shown, we immediately start hearing voiceover, and it is voiceover of an actual eyewitness account of the fire on the Deepwater Horizon, which is the name of the oil rig that event happened, the spill.
Yeah.
And you hear the guy saying, the alarm system was going off, and every alarm system has a distinct tone and a distinct visual light. And then you hear the guy go like, at the time of the catastrophe, did you hear, the alarm? And the guy was like, no. And he's like, well, why do you think that alarm was never heard beforehand? And then the guy doesn't answer, and he goes, he just clears his throat and does not answer. And then the interviewer goes, Mr. Williams? And then it just goes, Deepwater Horizon, the title card of the movie. So then we get some underwater shots. We see this pipeline, that's it's going down into the bottom of the ocean, 3,000 feet underwater, and they show this, this device that's responsible for all this shit. It's called the blowout preventer. You're gonna get a few technical terms. Okay. This movie is not only meant to educate people about what happened, it's also meant as a salute to the fallen crew members and also just the oil workers in the industry.
Right.
So it doesn't really dumb much down.
Yeah.
Okay. So the blowout preventer is the fail-safe that controls the pressure, of the oil well. And the bore depth is 3.5 miles under the ocean floor. It's fucking crazy. And this is all done with ROV camera footage. That's a remote-operated vehicle. And, it shows it. It's underwater. It's all fucking dark. And it's like foreboding music and shit like that. And then we just cut to Mark Wahlberg waking up in bed with his wife, Kate Hudson. And they're talking. She's like, oh, I had a dream about a rabbit or some shit. And, it was... I think it was my mother, and it was doing everything I did, and it was ridiculing me and shit. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's my worst nightmare, your mother. So then he's about to get up and leave, and she's like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is how you're going to leave me for fucking 21 days or whatever? And he's like, what? And she's like, I want sex, bitch. And he's like, okay, do you want the 30-second, the 60-second, or the 90-second version? And she's like, I want the whole 90. Then it cuts to a Hispanic chick having car trouble outside of her house. And then her dark-haired boyfriend comes out, and he's like, yeah, come on, get on. He gets on his motorcycle. She gets on there. Her car was like an old Mustang, okay? And she's like, can I drive? And he's like, no. You can drive when you sell that piece of shit and get a Ducati. Meow. And then we got Mark Wahlberg having breakfast with his family, and his daughter has done a school report on her dad's job. So she's reading it to him, and she's like, yeah, long time ago there were dinosaurs, and they're trapped underneath all the fucking, they died, and they're trapped under the earth, and my daddy comes along, and he drills a hole in the roof for them so that they can escape. And so they all run to get out, but they can't because of the blowout preventer. And at this point, we get a little exposition about the blowout preventer from the daughter. And she actually... performs an experiment demonstration at the fucking kitchen table just solely for our benefit. And she does it in an unbelievably unrealistic way. Okay, so explaining the blowout preventer. They drill down into the ocean floor, okay? So they go down, they touch oil, right? Well, what keeps all of that oil from just rushing out as soon as they drill it, right? Well, what they do is they pour a bunch of concrete around it, and then they stuff that hole with mud, okay? And that mud is dense enough to keep the oil down in the earth until they're ready to actually start drilling and sucking. Mm-hmm. Okay, start sucking out the pipeline. That's what the Deepwater Horizon was doing, which is just drilling the well, okay?
Okay.
She explains this by turning a can of Coke upside down on the kitchen table and stabs something like some sort of metal pipe. It almost just looked like a pen to me. Stabs it right down into the bottom of this can of Coke. Bear in mind this girl is maybe 6 or 7 years old.
Okay.
Stabs it right into the can of Coke. Now, not only does she stab it through the bottom of a can of Coke, all right, she stabs it in and nothing comes out. Then she explains the whole mud process by squirting some honey down into the tube. Mm-hmm. Okay? And she's like, so the mud keeps the oil from coming out. And that's how my daddy tames the dinosaurs. And they're talking about other kids in class, their dad, like, oh, so-and-so's dad brought in a penguin. And Mark Wahlberg is like, man, how the fuck am I supposed to compete with that shit? Brought in a penguin? Yeah, fuck that. So then they're getting done with breakfast and they're about to leave. And then all of a sudden, the honey gives way and the Coke sprays out of the fucking tube. And it just like, totally demonstrates a fucking oil spill. Okay. And fucking Mark Wahlberg's like, see. And the wife is like, oh God, it's making a mess. And he's like, see, we're learning something. So then it cuts to them driving a really long way. She's going to go drop him off at the, the Port Authority, I guess, so that he can catch a helicopter out to the oil rig.
Yeah.
At that point, we learn that he's an ex-Marine and that he's going to be gone for 3 weeks or so. And then it cuts to Kurt Russell. And he is in the Port Authority, and he's like the safety commander of the Deepwater Horizon. And he is taking 2 BP executives out to the rig for inspection and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he looks at one of them and he's like, would you mind, it's nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Would you mind losing that tie, please? And the guy's like, why? It's a purple tie. And he's like, well, it's more magenta. And, sir, a magenta alarm on an oil rig is the worst one you can get. Okay? So, superstition and all. Could you please get rid of it? And he's like, yeah, sure. Kurt Russell also has a southern accent in this movie. So Kurt Russell and Mark Wahlberg, they're talking about, what'd you do on your downtime? And he's like, yeah, I'm working on an airboat, blah, blah, blah. Just remember, they're in Louisiana. So then we get the helicopter ride out to the rig. And all of the workers that are being taken out there, they're all talking shit. Mark Wahlberg's talking with with that chick, Andrea, who is that Hispanic chick with the Mustang. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, what'd you do? She's like, yeah, I got to rebuild my fucking Mustang and shit. He's like, oh, yeah, fuck that. And while they're talking, Kurt and the executives they're all talking about rig stuff. He's like, yeah, our first blowout, it wasn't too bad, blah, 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 it'll be fine. I'm like, okay, yeah. And then there's a bird strike in the fucking helicopter. The fucking bird hits the fucking window and goes up into the rotor, so they're all like, oh, it's a scare,
Yeah.
He's like, don't worry, it was a bird strike. And they're flying around the Deepwater Horizon, which is pretty impressive looking. And then we learned that the Deepwater Horizon was not on stilts or anything like that, like other oil rigs. It's floating. It's actually a boat. Does not look like any boat you ever seen, though. Looks like a fucking oil rig.
Okay.
And then, we see a little print on screen that gives you a little bio of the Deepwater Horizon, saying it's 41 miles off the coast of Louisiana. It's 5,200 feet above the sea floor, and there are 126 people aboard. So they land, and as they're landing, there's this other crew that's leaving, and they're getting on the chopper that these guys are getting off, and they're like, whoa, what are you guys leaving for? What are you leaving for? They're like, yeah, no, we're done. You can hardly hear them because the rotor is full volume, from the fucking helicopter.
Yeah.
And this is even addressed because Mark Wahlberg's like, hey, what'd he say? To fucking Kurt Russell. He's like, I can't hear him. I don't know. So it turns out Andrea is, she's an engineer. She works on the bridge of the rig. She actually pilots it, when they have to move it around.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a boat that's coming towards the rig, and they're like, yeah, what are they doing here? That's the mud boat. They're the ones that accept all the mud that we suck out of the well before we start sucking oil out. We got to suck all that mud out. And what they do with that mud, they pump it into barrels, and then they give it to this fucking boat. So that's what has to be done first. We learn the phones don't work, and then Kurt Russell starts talking about this test that they were supposed to do on the cement that they poured. Now that was the cement crew that was leaving. And he's like, yeah, you guys haven't done the test, to see if the cement's going to hold. Why are they fucking leaving, And then all the execs are like, it's fine. We're very confident in our shit.
Mm-hmm.
They also, they kind of play dumb. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I think they did the test. And Kurt Russell's like, yeah, there was no time for them to do that test. Pouring cement and it curing takes time. So, this is bullshit. And at that moment, Mark Wahlberg and Andrea, they're still talking about Mustangs and shit. So then we get a sequence of tech guys, just your workers on the rig, readying all the oil or all the mud removal equipment and shit like that. Whole bunch of little sequences of heavy equipment moving around and all the fucking back-breaking hard shit, heavy fucking industrial labor these fuckers are doing out there on the rig. And then it turns out that nope, there was no cement test done, which is fucking bad. So all this while we get all the tech guys that all these regular workers on the oil rig. I'm just going to call them techs.
Mm-hmm.
They're all doing small talk and shit like that. And then we get another underwater shot of the blowout preventer. And, it's all dark and shit. And then we got, some dramatic music, because this fucker's about, this is the thing that's about to go bad, okay? And Mark is passing a guy, I guess the guy, one of the guys from that cement crew. He's like, yeah, we're done, man. And he's like, yeah, what the fuck? How can you be done? All right, whatever. So then Mark Wahlberg is FaceTiming Kate Hudson. And, they got all this cute little shit going on. And he's got this thing that he always says to her. He's like, give me those eyes. Mm-hmm. When they look each other in the face and shit. And it's all like they're in love. And it transcends the oil industry. And they go like, all right, 3, 2, 1, go. And then they have a fucking staring contest and shit. And, it's the slightest comic relief in the middle of this, intense shit. So then we cut to all those BP execs, and they're having a private meeting amongst themselves, and they're all talking about the pressure that they're having on this deadline. We're 45 days behind schedule. We're fucked. We, $156 billion industry, blah, blah, blah. We're so fucked. And Mark Wahlberg is talking to another one of the mud removal guys. That guy is showing him, yeah, look at this pipe that broke, while you were gone, blah, blah, blah. We took care of it, though. And look, I found this thing for you. I've been saving it for you, man. And he hands him a fucking dinosaur tooth that actually came out when they were drilling, that they found when they were drilling this oil well.
Wow.
Which I assume is actually probably more fairly commonplace than we think. Found a fucking dinosaur tooth in a fucking oil well.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, man, you just made a little girl's year. You made my year, man. Fuck yeah. So then Kurt Russell is like, I'm going to go and yell at these BP assholes. Come on, Mark Wahlberg, let's go. Okay. So they're all in there fighting about no cement tests being done. And Kurt Russell's like throwing his weight around because he's like, I'm in charge of this fucking operation here. I know it's your rig and it's your oil, but you hired me to drill it. So, this isn't going to happen unless we do a negative pressure test. And then we got one of the BP executives that was already on the rig. And he is played by John Malkovich.
Bad guy?
Yeah, he is the bad guy in the movie. But he's just a fucking guy, He's like a money-hungry, he's an executive. He's worried about the bottom line. Money, 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 money.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's an evil man. He's just a fucking stupid bastard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Stupid and a bastard. He also speaks with a Cajun accent in this movie. He's like, so you are over budget. That's my best Cajun, okay? I'm not going to do it anymore. And, Kurt Russell's like, yep, so you skimped on the testing, you motherfuckers. And, a rig needs time offline for maintenance on machines and shit. And, Mark Wahlberg, are any of our machines down? And he's like, oh, yes, sir. About like 300, or I don't know, some 300 machines are down. And then John Malkovich is like, what priority machines are down? And he's like, and then he lists off literally like 100 fucking things, like lightning quick.
Okay.
And you see John Malkovich like, oh. So then Kurt Russell's like, we're not fucking moving another muscle until we do a negative pressure test on the drill line. So the execs are pissed, and they have to do what he says. So then John Malkovich is looking for Mark Wahlberg, and he goes into his office, and he's like, yeah, hey, when we were having that conversation in there, it seemed like you had more to say, and I'm here to give you time to say it. And he starts talking about, well, it's just so much money going around, and, we just really need to keep this thing on schedule. So you see that he's like kind of putting the screws to him a little bit, maybe, or maybe also kind of like maybe dangling sort of a bribe in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark Wahlberg is like, what are you doing in my office? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, I ain't playing ball. I ain't drinking the Kool-Aid. Fuck you. And, the fucking rig, it is in trouble. It needs maintenance. And then John Malkovich looks over and he sees a picture of Mark Wahlberg with like a 65-pound catfish. And he's like, yeah, what is it that you guys do? What's it called? Nippling? And Mark Wahlberg's like, noodling. You guys know what noodling is?
No.
That's where you put your arm in the water and you let a giant catfish bite down on your arm and then you just lift it out.
Good Lord.
Yeah. And he's like, man, I can't believe you guys do that shit. And he's like, yeah, but here's the difference. Here's the thing. When I stick my arm down in that water, the dirtiest, darkest, fucking muddiest bog hole that we can find. We stick our arms down in that water, and we want those fish to bite us. We want it. And here's the thing is, though, we're prepared for it. We are prepared. Okay? And then he makes the metaphor for the deep, dark hole.
Yeah.
With the oil well. He's like,
Yeah.
you got to be prepared when you're dealing with the deep, dark holes.
Okay.
Then we get a little sequence of Andrea shifting the rig, turning on the engines, moving it around just a little bit. So then they begin the negative pressure test. And underwater, we see the pipeline and, the BOP. You guys remember what that even stands for? The blow-off preventer.
Okay.
And there's some foreboding music. So everybody's watching the drill line PSI, okay? And then, it goes from green to yellow to red, right? And it's staying in the green. And then somebody's talking about the well. And like, yeah, this well has given us so much shit. This is the well from hell. And then there's a beep. Beep. And everybody looks at the gauge. Okay? And, the pressure spiked a little bit on the drill line. But it was still in the green. It's okay. And then some guy's like, she's just pushing back on us. Just kicking back. Don't worry, she's just keeping us honest. And it's really fucking tense while everybody's testing and shit. There's a little bit of small talk going on, and then there's a huge fucking pressure spike. And they're like, oh, this don't look good to me. Shit. So the needle just keeps going up. Then the needle immediately, or eventually, hits the red. Okay, and they're like, oh, it's like 1,300 PSI. That's pounds per square inch of pressure. And Kurt Russell's like, yeah, nope, 1,300 PSI. That's bad, That's a bad test. We can't do this shit, So a good test is starts at 0, ends at 0. And then John Malkovich is like, oh, no. Well, see, if there was that much pressure, why was there no mud coming up out of the line? Because if there's that much pressure built up in that line, there would be mud coming up out, okay? But there was none. Hey, was there any mud? And they're like, no. He's like, see? Now, they say that it's fine, okay? So-and-so calls this what's called a bladder effect, meaning there's like a pocket of gas right there at the mouth of the well, okay? And that's where you're getting that pressure reading. Now, there's also another line that comes down next to the drill line and goes down even deeper into the well, and that's called the kill line. So he's like, we got to do the test again, the negative pressure test. This time we do it on the kill line. Okay? And if it comes back 0, that means there's no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll redo that negative pressure test. And if it comes back 0, if the glove doesn't fit, you must quit.
Okay.
All right? And we can start moving mud so then we can move the oil. So they're fighting about this other test they're going to do. And then all the techs that are there in the drill shack, which is what they call the area of the rig where the pipeline leaves the rig and goes down underwater. They can all just see them screaming at each other, but you can't hear it. And then one of those the other execs that he brought in, they come in, like, everything okay in here, guys? I'm like, yeah, it's cool. We're fine. Good. So, because we got a safety issue that we need you for, Kurt Russell, in the galley. So then Kurt and Mark, they leave. So they run the negative pressure test on the kill line. And the kill line PSI climbs up to green. And at that point, I think Kurt Russell entered the galley. And then he was surprised with a BP Safety Award. Okay? They're like throwing stardust in his eyes. All right. And he's like, oh, thanks, guys. Thanks. And you guys enjoy your ice cream. I got to go do some shit. Thanks. So the pressure had been climbing on the kill line, but then it returned to 0. So John Malkovich is like, hey? Huh? Gee?
Okay.
And the guy's like, yeah, but the pressure is still up on the drill line. It's still high. And John Malkovich is like, just drill. Fuck you. And so there's the employee that he's trying to get to start drilling. And he's like, or start pumping mud. He's scared and he wants to tell Kurt Russell about the results and stuff. And then John Malkovich threatens him. He's like, this will be noted in my report. So then that kid, he calls Kurt Russell and he tells him, and it's all tense and shit. He's like, all right, well, looks like it's going to be a long night. We're pulling some mud. Let's do it. So then the kid's like, okay, we're doing it. And then everybody's happy and they're all like, yeah, all right, let's get some shit going. All right. So they're all ramping up and getting ready to fucking pull all this mud. So the mud boat is, coming in near the rig. It's getting ready to receive all the mud and take it away. Then we got Mark, and he's FaceTiming Kate again. And, interspersed throughout all this shit, there's lots of shots of, like, mud flowing through the pipes and shit like that. And then Kurt Russell, he goes to his room. He's like, maybe he needs some sleep in a shower or some shit like that. So then the drill pipe PSI, the one that was spiking earlier, spikes higher than ever. Okay? Way, way up into the fucking red. And they're like, holy shit, stop the mud, stop the mud. And then the techs, they can hear fucking groaning and shit from the pipes around them and everything. Mm-hmm. And, that kid was like, I don't know, this is weird. Maybe we need to stop. And John Malkovich is like, you ain't stopping shit. Fuck you. And then the kid's like, I'm in command here. You get the fuck out of my room. And then John's like, yeah, I'll remember that shit. So then John walks up to the tech out in the drill shack who can see that something is wrong. Okay? And he's like looking at the fucking pipe that's going down into the bottom of the rig. And John Malkovich like sniffs the air like, something smells funny. And then that tech like rubs his finger on the pipe and he pulls it off and there's a bunch of like oily shit on it. And he's like looking back at it like, oh shit, something's wrong. And then all this other oily shit just starts seeping up through the bottom of the rig, like through the floor around the pipe. And they're like, fuck. They're like, we got flow. Out of here. And John is like, is she just kicking? Or, and then boom! The fucking shit explodes, okay?
Jesus.
And they have a fucking blowout. And there's fucking mud and oily crap, just fucking blowing all over the fucking room. Fucking everywhere, all right? Blowing up out of the floor. Fucking ultimate chaos happening. And it turns out that this is nothing. Okay? Then it cuts to Mark Wahlberg FaceTiming with his wife, and he hears something funny. Shit, going on elsewhere in the rig, Yeah. He looks around, and then all the pipe techs are in there. We cut back to them, and they're like, what do we do? There's fucking shit spewing out, okay? And then we see fucking John Malkovich, and he's like, got oil and mud in his eyes, and he's wiping them and shit. So then that tech, he grabs some valve, and he's turning it and shit, and then the spew kind of dies down, He's starting to get it under control. Yeah, sure. And they're like, damn, that was the biggest damn kick I have ever seen. So like, it's normal for it to kick a little bit like that. Mm-hmm. But obviously that was the worst one ever. So then we got Mark Wahlberg, and he shows Kate the tooth. And he's like, yeah, check this shit out. Fuck yeah, that's a real dinosaur tooth. She's like, oh my God, that's going to be so awesome. And then there's that groan noise, going around the rig. And we got water and mud and oil fucking seeping out of shit. Like everywhere. Pipes in the walls and shit like that. And people are like, what's going on, in that part of the rig. Back in Mark Wahlberg's part, it's just some groaning noise. Yeah. Something a little strange. And then the computer is like, pressure warning. And they're like, oh shit. Then we got another fucking blowout happens. And fucking there's major spews, okay? One of them fucking happens up as high as the rig itself. It just starts spewing out like in those old-timey, cartoons or movies where they're like, oh, we struck oil. But it's like mud and water and shit. All the pipes are fucking exploding and shit like that. They're like, get down to the mud room. Go. There's fucking chaos happening. Fucking spew everywhere. Okay? And then this one guy who's inside the control room for the drill shack, he's like talking to the guys out there who are getting covered in all this shit. He's like, come on, you got to turn that valve. You got to pinch it off, blah, blah, blah. And then divert all that mud overboard, okay? Or it's going to fill this fucking room up. But the tech can't do it, and then they all start yelling, clear the floor. We need to get to the fucking lifeboats and shit. So then they're on the bridge, where Andrea was. And, they're just going over the ship system, stuff like that. They don't have any idea what's going on with the oil rig. They just handle the boat part of it. Mm-hmm. Okay? And then this fucking oily-ass pelican fucking flies into the control room, and it's like slamming around all the computers and shit like that. And then it just like stumbles around and fucking dies right there right there on the bridge. And they're like, what the fuck? And that's how they find out that like, oh, yeah, there's probably some trouble going on out there. And then this part of the movie, it just like goes silent, and you just see all this fucking death chaos happening to all these motherfuckers that are getting hit by all this pressurized fucking mud and water and shit. Fucking crazy. There's shit blowing out fucking everywhere, okay? Mark hears the fucking groan again, all right? And then in the bridge, we get what's called a gas alarm. Like, oh, there's a gas alarm, and it's coming out, like there's gas coming out of the well, and it's starting to fill the air. And you can see it. It's like natural gas. Mm-hmm. And then Andrea's like, yeah, my thrusters, they're not working. The fucking engines for the ship. They're over revving. They're going too fast. I'm never going to be able to hold position. Blah, blah, blah. And then Kate is FaceTiming with Mark. And she's like, hey, is it just me or is it getting like bright as shit in there all of a sudden? And the lights go bright, like all over the rig. They're like super bright. Everything's moving way, way too fucking fast. Like, if that shit's all powered by the pressure going through there, the pressure is making the turbine spin too fast. I don't know. It's over revving all of their power systems. Okay. So all the lights get really super bright. And Kurt Russell, who is in the shower, naked, turns around and sees the lights get really bright. And then on the bridge, they start getting magenta alarms. Remember that from the beginning?
Yeah.
The worst alarm you can get on an oil rig. So Andrea calls a mayday. Mayday, mayday. We're having problems on this rig, blah, blah, blah. And then the captain of, the rig, he's like, what the fuck? Did I tell you to call a mayday? Fuck you. And then Kate sees Mark's FaceTime feed like freeze up and then go away. Mm-hmm. Back on the bridge, that captain, and he's fucking yelling at Andrea. And she's like, oh, yeah? Well, why is there fucking shit everywhere outside? Why is all that spew happening? So then he like turns around and he walks outside and looks. And he's like, oh, fuck. And then we get a little shot of inside of some machines that are there on the rig. And there's all these fucking turbines that are spinning. And they're going so fucking fast. And then all of a sudden they fucking stall out and they're like, and they're groaning. And then they fucking snap. And then that makes a spark and fucking ignites the whole goddamn rig. Boom! And it's fucking, oh man, it was serious shit.
Yeah.
Shit tons of fucking people die at that part, okay? There is fucking shit blowing around. Kurt Russell got fucking knocked out in the shower. Some like shit like flies through the wall, fucking hits him and shit. He flies back against the other wall and then it fucking goes dark, So then the Deepwater Horizon is fucking on fire.
Yeah.
Whole damn thing, right? Then we cut to an emergency operator for the Coast Guard, and somebody's like, yeah, there's an oil rig. It's on fire. It's over here, blah, blah, blah. And then all the other call technicians in that center, they all start getting calls, saying that there is a fucking oil rig on fire. So then one guy is like, yeah, we're pulling up a satellite image now. And at that point, they show it. It's a fucking image from space. It's a fucking satellite picture, an aerial shot, obviously.
Yeah.
And there is just this bright-ass fucking orange dot of fire right in the center of all this black. And the guy's like, oh, fuck. That's how, like, fucking hot and fucking burning bright it is, okay?
Yeah.
And so they start to mobilize. But remember, they're like 41 fucking miles away, so it's going to take some time. So obviously we're going to have to, take care of some shit ourselves first. So then Kate, she's looking at the black screen, and she's like, fuck. She like knows something's wrong, And then we got Mark Wahlberg, and he's climbing out of the debris, in his office.
Yeah.
And it's all dark, which means it's blue. And it's all dusty and shit, and you can still hear chaos happening elsewhere, and like weird noises. Boom. And he's like climbing out of the shit. And he's like, hey, anybody. There's dangerous shit falling around and stuff. And then you hear an evacuation announcement over the intercom. Okay. So then he's going through this hallway, and he's like, Dougie. He finds some friend of his or other worker whose legs are fucked, and he's trying to save him. He's carrying him through the hallways and everything. And then we get an outside shot of the rig on fire, but this shot is from underwater. Okay, and while the camera is underwater, you can see like the bottom of the fire. It's fucking weird, dude. And like when it's happening, all you hear is this weird like, like all the sound of something super fucking hot sitting on top of fucking water.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's a fucking crazy ass shot. It was really cool. Then on the bridge, Andrea's like, yeah, my thrusters are failing. I only got 4 left or whatever. And the guy's like, damage report. Everybody's fucking screaming shit like this, okay? So then the mud boat outside, like, oh, shit, his fucker's on fire. They like, get those rescue boats in the water. And there's only like 1 or 2, and they're really little. Mm-hmm. But they're going out and they're picking up people that were like either blown off the side or have jumped or whatever. But for the most part, for the purposes of the narrative of the movie, we haven't really seen anybody jumping off the side yet, okay? Yeah. Everybody's still either fucked up, dead, or freaking out. And then we get Kurt Russell waking up in the shower. And he is bloody. He is naked. And he is fucked up. His face is all bashed in and shit. And he's pulling glass out of his foot. And he's got to fucking put his boots on. And he like puts his one boot on. And he's just like, he has that fucking tough as nails bastard scream thing that he puts on. And he goes, ah! Like, but it had to be done. Okay. The next time we see him, he's wearing clothes. We're not given that part of the of his recovery. Okay.
He's just naked putting boots on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he put his boots on and then, I don't want to make fun of it because it was a real guy. Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. All right.
Yeah, all these characters that I'm talking about, I'm calling them Kurt Russell and Mark Wahlberg and stuff. They all have real names, and I do have their names, but not yet. I'll go through that at the end. Anyway, Mark finds some other survivors and he gives Dougie to them, some other techs, and they're all like, "Fuck that! I don't give a shit about him." And he has to like calm them down. He's like, "Hey, slow down, man. Okay, it's an emergency. We fucking trained for this shit. Okay, fucking calm down. All right." You're going to die if you don't fucking slow down, all right? And they're like, yeah, okay. So, like, Mark Wahlberg, he's got that way of the people, all right?
Uh-huh.
And, he gives them Dougie, and he's like, hey, has anybody seen Kurt Russell? They're all like, no, man. So he's like, I gotta go back for Kurt. And then we cut to fucking Kurt Russell wandering around in the dark. And Mark finds another survivor, and he's like, you gotta get to the lifeboats. Go, go, go. Kurt, where are you, Kurt? He finally finds him, and Kurt Russell just like sitting on his butt in the middle of the hallway all fucked up, and he's like, I can't see, man. And you're like, oh shit, Kurt's blind. That fucking blows. Turns out he's not blind. But,
Okay.
Yeah. He's pretty punch drunk from the explosion. And he's talking to him, and he's like, did we cut the pipe? Did we cut the pipe? We need to disconnect from the pipe, from the well. We need to. Or else, fucking, if they don't do that, if they don't cut the pipe, which is actually also pinches it off. If they don't do that, then you get a big giant 87-day long fucking oil spill.
Yeah.
Like we had. Now, us watching the movie, we know that we did have that. So obviously the pipe was never severed properly. Okay? So we know that going into it. And on the bridge, the execs are there and they're freaking out. And they're like getting life jackets and shit. I don't want to die. Oh my God, the rig is on fire. We got Coast Guard people, they're fucking, they're like, we got people jumping in the water out there. We gotta get choppers out there now. They're sending choppers, sending everybody they got, okay? And then one of those execs, the guy that had to take off his tie, he's out there on the deck, and he turns around to look at the fucking burning oil rig, and right in front of this giant fucking pillar of fire is a big waving American flag. So this little, commentary there, okay?
Yeah.
And then he turns around to look at the other side off of the oil rig into the water. The fucking ocean is burning. So it's like total fucking hopelessness. Then we got Mark. He's dragging Kurt. They're dragging people, or they find some survivors, and one of them is stuck. His legs are fucked up too, and they got to fucking pull him out of this jam. And he's like, you know what? You're coming with me, with or without your leg. And yeah, it was a little fuzzy because it was all like fucking dark and flashing and shit like that. Pretty sure they had to rip his leg off. I don't know. Something happened. He was screaming and shit. They're just fucking dragging him out there. And then boom, boom, fucking more explosions and shit. Explosions are happening all the fucking time. Every time you think the worst one happened, there are more. All right. But at that point, the bridge loses engine power. And she's like, fuck that. You know what? I'm cutting the pipe. This needs to be done. And remember, she just drives the ship, okay? She's not the captain. The captain is there. And she's like, I'm cutting the pipe. And she goes over to the control board to push the button that, if it had been pushed, would have stopped that entire fucking spill, okay? That 87-day long thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the captain goes, no, we don't have the authority to do that. Fucking rig is burning, all right? And he's like talking about authority. So he stops her, and she doesn't do it. She has to obey her captain, right? And then we cut to Kate, and she's at home, and she calls the Coast Guard, and she's like, my husband, he's on the Deepwater Horizon, and I think something's wrong, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, yeah, all I can tell you right now, ma'am, is, we are having confirmed reports of a fire on the rig, and that's all I can tell you right now. She's like, yeah, but, is it the Deepwater Horizon? Because there are so many rigs out there in the Gulf, and he's like, yes, ma'am, the Deepwater Horizon is on fire. That's all I can tell you. Sorry, goodbye. And she's like, oh, fuck. She covers her fucking mouth and shit. She's all, grief is hitting her and shit and panic. So then we got explosions on the dock. Boom, boom, boom. And everybody's talking about the crane that's on the deck of the rig. And they're like, holy shit, that fucking crane is going to take out the derrick. And when the derrick falls, it's going to fucking kill every one of us. So then one of these fucking crew members he's like, you know what? Everyone's going to die if that crane falls on the derrick. So fuck. And he starts climbing up the ladder in the middle of all this fire and shit. Climbs up and he fucking gets into the crane and he fucking moves the crane away from the derrick. And it's like, all right, cool. He just saved everybody's lives and shit. And then he's like, he got that done. And then he looks out of the crane cockpit and fucking everything is burning. And his fucking crane is on fire and shit. And then he gets this moment where he knows he's fucked. He's like, ah, shit. Mm-hmm. And then, bam, the thing snaps, and it fucking comes in, fucking hits him, knocks him right out of the fucking cockpit of the crane, and like flings him downward into the fire. And everybody fucking saw that happen. But he saved their fucking lives and shit. It was it was cool. Cool of him.
Yeah, poor guy.
Yeah. So then Kurt Russell enters the bridge, and on the bridge he finds John Malkovich. And he walks right up to John Malkovich, and you're expecting him to punch him in the face and shit like that. He walks up to him, and one of his eyes, he was hit in the face, so one of his eyes is all squinky.
Yeah.
Okay. Like Popeye. And he just walks up to him and just fucking stares at him. Stares him in the face. And then he just says, get your ass to the lifeboats. And then John Malkovich looks down and walks away. Okay, and then Kurt's like, that's it, I'm cutting the pipe. Well, I'm cutting the pipe and I'm sealing the well. And we are going to choke this fire. We're going to choke it down. So he goes over there and he pushes the button that girl was going to push earlier. Okay? Mm-hmm. And then we see, I don't know if it's underwater or elsewhere inside the rig, but you see the effect of pushing this button. And it's these gigantic fucking blades. 2 of them, moving towards each other on either side of the fucking pipeline. Okay? Like the fucking jaws of life times a billion. Okay, and they start cutting into the fucking pipe, and you realize, oh shit, okay, that's what it does. It cuts into the pipe and it pinches that shit shut.
Yeah.
Okay, so it goes, and you're like, all right, and for that split second, you forget about what happened in real life, and you're like, he's cutting the pipe, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
They're gonna get out of here.
Okay,
it did a pretty good job of keeping me captivated until that point, enough for that to actually happen, for me to forget reality for a second.
Yeah.
But halfway through cutting the pipe, it stops, okay? And it fails. So then Mark Wahlberg is like, no, it didn't work, man. The fire's still burning. Because now the oil is fucking shooting up out of the fucking, and that's what's fucking burning, okay? That's what's fueling the fire on the rig, okay? Mm-hmm. He's like, dude, it's still fucking burning, because if they had succeeded in cutting the pipe, the fire would eventually die out. Choke, like Kurt Russell said. It's still burning, dude. We're fucked. And then Kurt's like, all right, we got to make a standby generator, okay, to keep the rig online so that the pipe doesn't break. Because if the pipe breaks, then we get the fucking oil spill. So, that'll fuck everything, okay? So to keep that from happening, we have to make a fucking generator. We got to get some kind of power going to the bridge. Can you do that, Mark Wahlberg? And he's like, yeah, I think so. It shouldn't be too hard. And then Kurt Russell's like, yeah, it's on the other side of the rig. So, you might die just trying to go there. And then Mark Wahlberg's like, yeah, it's cool. I'll do it. Because I'm Mark Wahlberg. And then some dude is like, I'm going with you. And he's like, what? Seriously? He's like, yeah, come on, let's do it. So then we get a shot of Kate. And she is at home and she's calling another wife of somebody who works on the rig. And she's like, oh, I think there's a fire. And then the other lady's like, yeah, so-and-so said there's a fire. Oh, my God, people are dying. And they're crying and shit like that. They're sharing their stories. And then you hear the little girl go, Mommy? And Kate Hudson's like, not now. But, Mommy, what's wrong? Not now! So she's like, coming undone. Mm-hmm. And then Mark and that guy, they're on the way to get to this generator that they're trying to get up and running. They get set on fire. Okay, and they have to put each other out by slapping their backs and shit like that.
Yeah.
So they get it put out. They're going through the rig, and they got to set up this power supply. And they try to turn it on. Oh, it's not fucking working. Blah blah blah. This is gonna take forever. Try this, try that. Nothing's working. And then Mark Wahlberg is like, well, look at that manual over there. And come on, man, fucking just read that shit to me. It can't be that hard. Let's do this. And the kid's like, are you sure? And he's like, fuck, yeah, come on, man, move it. So the kid has to like read him the instructions. And it's like a little Jurassic Park at the fucking power station moment, you know, except a little more harrowing. And he's like reading him stuff. And he's like, yeah, okay. And then he does it. The fucking power comes on. There's fucking lights inside. We get an outside shot. We see the rig, which is still on fire. But now we see the lights in all of its windows and shit. Okay. Power comes on. Then fucking Kurt Russell's like, all right, move the rig, you know, do the thing. And the girl's like moving the rig around, and then the power goes out again. And they keep trying, like, anything yet? Yeah, no. And, you know, they get it on again, and then it fucking starts draining again. And Mark Wahlberg is like, he's talking to Kurt Russell on the radio. He's like, is there power? And then Kurt's like, man, the power's draining. And then Kurt Russell starts passing out. And then, you know, we get more chaos going around, you know, going on around the rig and shit like that. And then we have a fucking major fucking explosion, you know, fucking, you know, they didn't really explain why, but, you know, there's gas coming up out of this fucking pipeline as well. So at any point there could be a fucking another explosion. So there is a fucking major one that totally fucking rocks this place, which is already totally fucked. All right. Everybody gets fucking knocked down and shit. And Kurt Russell goes ahead and he fucking gives up. And he's like, you know what? It's coming down. We got to get to the boats. Come on. So they all start going to the lifeboats and they just fucking make it. And the last lifeboat is lowering into the water already. Oh. And he's like, Kurt Russell's like, they fucking left us. They left us. And I did think of Jurassic Park again at that moment. He left us. And so everybody's like, we're going to die. And then Mark Wahlberg and the other guy, they come out of a door, and they're right there with all the rest of them. And they're like, all right, fuck this, come on. So, you know, the lifeboats aren't the only things. There's also life rafts, okay? So, which are in those canisters, you know, and they got to fucking open them up and, like, pull the thing, and then they just inflate instantly.
Yeah.
So, but they're really heavy because they're so huge, okay? And they have to, like, turn a crank and get it to swing out over the water, and then everybody's got to get in it, and then they can actuate it to lower down into the water. Else, it would just fucking fall, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, while they're lowering it out, Mark Wahlberg's like, come on, crank it. And they're fucking going. All this fucking chaotic shit is happening. They're fucking loading, you know, a couple of other survivors in. Somebody throws fucking Kurt Russell in, and he's like, Andrea, get Andrea. And then the kid that was with him, is handling the crank, gets hit with some fucking fiery debris, and he fucking gets hit, and he falls overboard. So then the crank just, the winch starts running, and the raft just lowers. So now it's Mark Wahlberg and Andrea fucking trapped on the rig. No shit. Lifeboat, no fucking life raft, okay? And Mark Wahlberg is like, he's looking over the side, and he's like, you know, this part of the rig, it's fucking burning too hot and shit, and it's not something that we could jump over. He's like, there's too much fire, you know, we got to get somewhere else. We got to go higher. We got to go higher up. Come on. So him and Andrea, they got to start climbing all these stairs and shit. And they're trying to jump off of this oil rig, but they have to keep climbing fucking higher and higher up onto it. Mm-hmm. And it's fucking like, oh shit, this is gonna suck. Okay, and everything is burning and exploding. And then we get this epic fucking looking panning shot, like out away from the rig that just pans across it, and you see them at the fucking top of this burning fucking oil rig, and it is fucking crazy looking, man. There's fucking great cinematography, great fucking effects. You know, all this fire was fucking amazing, you know. Yeah. It is some crazy looking shit. So then they look down the side, and it is so fucking high up, dude, that they have to fucking jump off. You know, he's talking to Andrea. She's fucking panicking, and he starts talking about Mustangs with her, like they were talking earlier, you know, on the way to the rig. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, so, you know, come on, you know, what's going on with the Mustang? You got to rebuild it, right? And she's like, what? He's like, yeah, you got to rebuild it? And she's like, yeah, I guess. You know, yeah. He's like, is it a V8? You know, so he calms her down a little bit, and he's like, all right, look, all right, we're going to jump over the side. There is a little bit of fire there. We're going to have to jump over that fire. Don't you worry, though. We're going to make it to the water. It'll be fine. And she's like, fuck, she still panics. She freaks out. She's like, I can't. And he's like, what? You can't rebuild an engine? Come on now. She's like, I can't jump. I don't want to die. And he starts screaming at her. And he's like, our choice right now is to burn or jump. Now come on, god damn it. And she starts screaming out, don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. She's like ultra freaking out. And he's like, all right. Hang on now. She's like, you can go and jump. That's fine. You do what you want. You do whatever. And he's like, oh, well, I'm going to do whatever you do. All right. I'm not leaving you. Come on now. But here's the thing. We got to get off of this fucking rig. I got my wife. I got my daughter. Okay. And God, I will be goddamned if I am not going to fucking see them again. Do you understand me? And she's like, oh God. And he's like, fine, you know what? You want to stay here? Fucking stay here. And then he starts fucking walking away from her in the middle of all this fucking burning fire up on this fucking landing deck on the top of the rig. And he walks away from her and you see her behind him and he's looking at the camera and then he's facing the camera. And then he fucking turns back around, walks up to her and just says, so what color's the Mustang? And then he fucking grabs her and fucking flings her off of the side of the rig. Fucking throws her. So she goes down kicking and screaming, okay? Which is very dangerous. To fall that high into water without like straightening your body and like bracing for impact. She's like kicking and flailing all the way down. I was like, she's dead. Even if, fuck that. So then the rig starts falling apart and he's still up on there. All right. The derrick falls and everything's burning and falling and shit. And then he just runs and he jumps and the camera follows him. He gets a running start to jump off, okay? The camera is right at his back. As he jumps off of the rig, the camera fucking stays with him. And the camera is right behind him the entire way down. Wow. It was like the coolest fucking shot in the movie, guys. Yeah. Yeah, it was a good-ass shot. It even stays with him as he's under the water, okay? Then it cuts to like a wider shot of him underwater, and he's like swimming up. He fell from a very, very tall height, all right? So he's very deep underwater, and he's like swimming. He's trying to get up. He's trying to swim up. And then right there, you see, right then, something fucking falls down into the water. Not something huge, but obviously something falling fast. Falls down and fucking hits him, okay? And like you see it hit him, and you see it hurt him. And he's like, and he starts like going down a little bit, and you're like, oh, shit. Yeah. Is that how this fucker dies? Oh, my God, no. And then he's like, no, he gets it. He's okay. And he starts swimming up. And then he comes out of the water. And he's surrounded by fire. And he's screaming for Andrea. And then he finds her. And she's like, coughing and shit. And then, they're okay. Then on the mud ship, all the survivors that got in the lifeboats and the rafts and shit like that, they're all on the deck of the mud boat, okay? And at that point, we see one of the little rescue boats go and actually pick up Mark and Andrea. Now, while that's happening, Kurt Russell is calling roll, okay? When I say your name, shout out, blah, blah, blah. So he's calling roll, and, everybody's calling, yeah, here. And then he starts getting to names where people are silent. No one's calling out. And he's like, so-and-so, nothing. So-and-so, nothing. And then he's like, anybody from the drill shack? Is anybody here from the drill shack? Nothing. Mm-hmm. Totally silent. And then he just turns around real slow, and he looks up at one of the gangplanks that are there on the boat. And up on that plank is John Malkovich. And he just fucking turns around and just stares at that asshole. Stares up at that asshole. And then doesn't say a word until John Malkovich hangs his head and fucking walks away again. Then Mark and Andrea, they're pulled onto the mud boat, and Mark is fucking bleeding, out of his head and shit like that. And he like staggers over to this set of stairs and he fucking sits down. And he's like, fuck. And there was actually a second there where you're like, is he about to die right here? Because he is fucked up looking. Yeah. And then Andrea fucking walks over to him and she's crying and she's like, thank you. And he's just like looking at her, he like nods and shit.
Her first words to him after that should have been, the color is red.
At that point, the Coast Guard choppers, they show up and they start sending down their winches and airlifting away like seriously wounded people. And after that, there's still like searchlights hitting the boat and stuff like that. And the entire crew, all like as one, they all kneel down on the deck of the ship and they all just start saying the Lord's Prayer. It's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we see the rig fucking burns and is falling down in the distance. And then we cut to Mark Wahlberg, who is being hounded by the press as he's walking into this hotel. And he walks in this hotel, and there's some new BP executives, and they're like, "What's your name, sir?" And he's like, "Yeah, so and so." And they're like, "Okay," and they hand him a room key card. Okay, and they're like, "What you need most right now is rest. Okay, get some rest, and then after that, well, we need to talk to you. Okay."
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, whatever. And he walks through. And as he's walking through the lobby of this hotel, there's this big, badass, long hair, old fucking guy. And, he's big and tough as fucking nails. And he walks up to him and he's like, "So, were you on the rig?" And then he's like, yeah. And he's like, "Was my son with you? Did my son get off of the rig?" And he's like, I don't know. He's like, "Where is my son?" He's all fucking grief-stricken and fucking crazy and shit over it, And he fucking grabs Mark Wahlberg. And he's fucking shaking him and throws him up against the wall. And he has to be pulled off of him, He's fucking grieving for his, probably dead son.
Yeah.
And Mark Wahlberg just like cowers down, because he's all in fucking total shell shock. He puts his hands up like, "Don't hit me, man." And then it cuts to him in this hotel room, like by himself. And he's in there and he's fucking staring at himself in the mirror. And then he freaks out and he tries to pull his sweatshirt off and he falls through the fucking shower door, which is made out of glass, and everything shatters and shit. And he's fucking, and then it cuts to him just like fucking laying on the floor of this hotel room, fucking crying. He's fucking crying. Oh. And, it's really hitting him so fucking hard, and, you can feel it from him. This is why, like, Mark Wahlberg, he's not just playing Mark Wahlberg here. He is through a lot of this movie, okay? Like all of his movies, pretty much playing Mark Wahlberg, playing himself. Well, like here, he actually made you feel something, okay? Mm-hmm. He's not just a cool guy that smokes weed with a teddy bear. All right? So he's on the floor and he's fucking crying his eyes out. And then at that point, you hear the door open and Kate Hudson runs in and she runs to him. Okay, and she fucking just runs to him and just like collapses on the ground with him, and she's fucking holding him, and they're both fucking crying, and he turns around and he grabs her, and they're holding each other so fucking tight. This is the first time they've seen each other, okay? And they're holding each other, and then in the background that's still blurry, you can see the daughter walk in, and then it shows them all hugging on the ground and shit, it's a little time lapse going on, and then you see him, you don't hear any of this, but you see him hand the dinosaur tooth to his daughter. Mm-hmm. You get a shot of Andrea crying and hugging her boyfriend, in the big reuniting scene. Mm-hmm. And then we got Mark and his wife, and they're leaving the hotel, and they're passing by other survivors. They're passing by other, the family members of fallen crew members. Everybody's crying. People are looking at each other, like nodding and shit like that. And, they're waving to others. And then Mark passes Kurt Russell, and then they have a big old man hug. Oh. And then Mark just gets into a van with his family. Somebody else is driving it, and he's just sitting there holding his wife and his daughter. And then they just drive away. And it fades out. And then we hear a voiceover, a real-life voiceover, of Mark's real-life counterpart, whose name is Mike Webb. Mm-hmm. Okay? And he's just saying, like, yeah, I remember saying a prayer, asking God, like, please just let my family know, and then you see a picture of him and stuff, and just Daddy did everything he could, and if I survived this, it's for a reason. And then it says, Mike Webb never went back out to sea. He lives with his family in Texas. Okay, and then you hear the real Mike testifying at the hearing that they had about all this shit, and he ends up mentioning Andrea. So then we see a real life picture of Andrea. And it says that she lives in such and such. She no longer works for the oil industry. And we hear her say, yeah, and then I said over the loudspeaker, I announced that we were abandoning the rig. And then the interviewer is like, now, who was in charge of the rig at that time? Who would you say is? And she's like, I would say, Commander Harrell or whatever. Yeah, okay. And then we see Jimmy Harrell, who is Kurt Russell's counterpart. Mm-hmm. And it's this real life picture of this tough old bastard. And it says, Jimmy Harrell still works for Transocean.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. That shit, it wasn't going to stop him. And then it shows...
because he was right.
Yeah, he was right.
And I don't think anyone will defy him ever again.
Absolutely.
I'll bet every oil rig he's ever on goes perfectly.
Now?
Yeah.
I hope so. Then we get a little blurb that says, BP executives whatever his name was, the guy with the tie, and Donald Vidrine, who is John Malkovich, were indicted for manslaughter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you're like, oh, good. And then fading in, it says, by 2015, those charges were dismissed.
Jesus.
Yeah, man, fuck that shit. And then you just hear, it goes black, and you hear a voiceover of Mike Webb saying, yeah, you know, all the things that they told us could never happen fucking happened, all right? And all those people, they all lost their lives because of that shit. And then we get a big sequence of names and photos of the victims, you know, the crew members who did not survive. Then there's a final blurb that says, the blowout lasted 87 days, spilling 210 million gallons of oil into the Gulf of Mexico, which makes it the worst oil disaster in U.S. history. And then the credits roll, guys. Yeah. Pretty serious shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking great movie, dude. Definitely.
Yeah.
But, you know, afterwards, and even after recapping it, I'm like, fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The director was Peter Berg. And
Do I know him?
you know him from movies. He used to be an actor.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, he does look familiar.
Yeah. He's took a turn, became a director, and he made the show The Leftovers. He made Lone Survivor with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, he's doing a good job.
Hell yeah, he is.
You know, some people don't go see these serious true story movies, and I hope we access some of them with this podcast.
Yeah,
So,
me too. Me too.
Sounds like a good story.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Speaking of harrowing, thrilling, true story movies, Mark Wahlberg is playing the cop in the Boston Marathon bombing.
I saw a
in
preview
that
for that
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he's on a roll. Are we ready to lighten the mood?
Sure.
All right.
It's time for Remake Sacrilege.
Fuck yeah. Who wants to go first?
Rick's going first this time.
Okay. It's your turn.
All right. It's Back to the Future, starring Justin Bieber
Good God.
Oh, my God.
as Marty McFly, and Ron Perlman as Doc Brown.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, my God.
All right. I guess it kind of fits. Like, it seems like they could do that because Marty McFly is a musician.
Uh-huh.
And so in a remake, he would, like, you know, be a singer
Yeah.
and shit. So
Yeah. But, you know, it's not.
Against Ron Perlman. Is Ron Perlman like, silly old man? Or like, big tough Ron Perlman?
I think that's all he can be.
Yeah, I guess so. I bet he could do it.
But he's still going to have all the poofy hair.
And he's like, Great Scott. He says it real slow.
And yeah, instead of playing the guitar, Marty McFly, he's more of a singer/rapper.
Okay.
So every musical scene of it is kind of like, oh, Jesus.
It's like a total musical. Like, they have like full songs in it.
Yeah.
Girl.
No, at the Seaside by the Sea dance. What the fuck was that called?
Enchantment Under the Sea.
Okay. Do they still go back to the 50s, or is it like the 70s, you know? I guess they would have to do that.
Yeah, it could be either.
And he's at
But
the dance.
His, it's still the same line. Like, I guess you kids aren't ready for that. It's like,
But
no,
your kids are going to love it.
But he's like singing, and his body is disappearing from the foot up until he's just a floating head. You got any scenes? All right. Who, Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, who would they guest star as? Remember how they did that in Ghostbusters? Would they be
Oh, shit. Fucking the diner crew. Okay. Christopher Lloyd. He'd be pouring milkshakes and shit.
I'm going to be the mayor of this town someday.
Yeah. Michael J. Fox. I'm going to be the mayor of this town someday.
No, Michael J. Fox is the judge at the talent contest. Remember the guest star that Huey Lewis was? You're just
Okay.
too loud.
I'm afraid you're just too darn loud, guys.
and that's what I got.
All right.
I like it. I like it. Okay.
I would hate that.
So would I.
So good job.
I got Jurassic Park. Not rebooted, simply remade with the Judd Apatow crew from
God.
This Is the End.
All
Okay. Dr. Grant is played by Seth Rogen. Who's like, oh God, I hate computers. You can't take him seriously or anything. Let's see, who plays Ellie? Let's say, I don't fucking know. Okay. Craig Robbins plays Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Okay.
Hold on your butts, you guys. All right. Let's see. I think I'll go with Jonah Hill for Dennis Nedry.
Oh, man.
Okay. You guys aren't taking me seriously, okay? All right. Yeah, Dodson. We got Dodson here. Jesus, fuck you, Dodson. Okay.
That's
And
Jonah Hill going the fucking.
You didn't say the magic word, okay? All right. All right, and he's like, when he's like going out for the fucking can, the fucking shaving can.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, I'm sorry, guys, I got to put this in. He gets sodomized by the dinosaur in the Jeep. And he's like, oh God. All right. Now, what was his fucking name? The old guy. Mr. Hammond.
Yeah.
James Franco.
What?
Young ass James Franco. And like, oh, you guys. Oh, my God, you
that
guys.
That sounds like something they would do.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Oh, my God, you guys. I have an island. Check this out.
I was thinking he'd be Jeff Goldblum.
Like, okay, no. You know what? Jeff Goldblum, I'll give to Danny McBride.
Okay.
Fucking chaos theory, okay?
Right.
God damn.
James Franco's
like, he's
John
like,
Hammond.
this is my little friend. His name is Mr. DNA, you guys. Oh my God, you guys. So there you have it. There's mine.
All right.
What do you got, Chris?
Mine is The Shining, originally done by Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
Which I love. If it's ever on TV, I'll watch it. But mine is a apologist remake.
Okay.
The original Shining was supposed to be kind of, people thought it was apologist for the Native American massacres.
Right.
Mine is more like slavery.
Okay.
I will tread lightly.
Yeah, here we go.
All right. This is something I think people would try to do. All right. Jack, who was originally Jack Nicholson, is played by Mark Ruffalo.
Okay.
All right.
That's not so bad.
Fucking Mark
at the
Ruffalo,
moment.
yeah. He would totally, I'm a writer and stuff. I can write books.
You know what, dude? I can see that.
Yeah. Wendy is Zoe Saldana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And Danny is, now in this remake, their biracial daughter.
Okay.
Right? Make it a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something they would do. All right. Dick Halloran, the cook, the guy, Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
The Shining.
Keep a, wise teacher character.
Yeah. Mentor.
All right. It's an apologist remake, so Jack is the only white guy.
Mm-hmm.
Until he meets the ghost of Delbert Grady. All right?
Which was the bartender?
No.
Okay, who's that?
The bartender, we'll get there.
All right.
Delbert Grady was the original guy who massacred his family.
Oh, okay.
All right? So he meets Delbert Grady, who is Paul Giamatti. All right?
Oh, my God. It's Paul Giamatti.
The Overlook, we can change the Overlook to, like, somewhere in the South. And the hotel was part of the Underground Railroad in the wintertime.
All right.
Until Grady found out and slaughtered a bunch of African Americans.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
That's Paul Giamatti.
Okay.
And Grady was already kind of a racist in the original, but now he's like a super racist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but Paul Giamatti could totally do it because if you've ever seen 12 Years a Slave, he was a super racist in that, and he could be good.
Yeah, I never saw that.
There's this part where Chiwetel Ejiofor is being sold into slavery, and Paul Giamatti is giving them all their new names, and he's like, "Your name is Platt," and Chiwetel is like, "My name is Bartholomew Cumberpatch," which is like his fucking name, and he's like, he slaps him, and he's like, "Your name is Platt," and it's such a jarring scene, and like the fucking sound design of even when he slaps him, like that's a mini Oscar right there.
All right.
So, Paul Giamatti. And so we're changing the backstory, making it more racially charged.
Yeah.
Dick Hallorann, who is Morgan Freeman, is gay.
All right.
In the original, he had a painting of a sexy black woman. So we know he's gay because he's got a painting of a glistening twink on his wall.
Okay.
When he's sleeping. The blood that comes out of the elevator is all CGI. They add, from the original book, they add the hedge animals that move around.
Yeah.
It happened in the book, but that's all CGI, so people are going to be like, hey, it's fucking CGI fest. The woman in the dreaded room 237, that's Tilda Swinton.
Oh, my God.
I just think she'd be great doing that. There's no furry costume fellatio scene in my remake because that's everybody's favorite scene from the original, right?
Right.
Yeah. Zoe Saldana wouldn't be as much of a pussy as the original Wendy.
Yeah.
She'd have a little more girl power.
Come on, motherfucker.
So would Dick Hallorann, because like in the original, he just goes in and like immediately gets chopped up.
Yeah.
Instead of a typewriter, it's a MacBook. And so like when she finds out he's crazy, she's like furiously scrolling the mouse pad.
Yeah.
All right. The only good part of the movie is when Jack hallucinates the bar.
Okay.
And the bartender is played by Paul Rubens.
Oh, my God.
Okay, if it wasn't a bad movie, if people were on the fence, here's the killing blow.
Okay.
All right. Mark Ruffalo, his family is locked themselves in the bathroom.
Uh-huh.
All right. They don't know what to do. He's crazy with an axe. He's chopping at the door. He chops a hole in the door, puts his face in the hole and screams, Hulk smash!
Oh, my God, man.
And that's my remake.
All right. All right, cool.
All right.
Well, guys, if you got any sacrilegious remake ideas, sound off in an email or Twitter or what have you.
Movies with Ron on pretty much anything social network related.
Check us out.
Yeah. Oh, also, you just finished the episode. If you're on iOS, tap on that reviews tab and leave us a rating or a review.
Yeah, we love that, guys.
Yeah, we'd much appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks for listening.
All right, we love you.
Bye.
Movies with Ron.